Welcome to another edition of Take a Stand TV with your host, Christian apologist, author, and speaker, Eric Barger. You can subscribe to our updates and find Eric online at ericbarger.com. Now, here's Eric Barger.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm glad you joined me tonight for Take a Stand TV. It's been a while since I've been here in the studio. Been out on the road for the last, I guess 3.5 weeks, something like that, all through the Midwest and down to Oklahoma and back to Missouri. I guess it's Midwest. And then up to Canada. Had a couple of great conferences this fall. First of all, Understanding the Times up in Eden Prairie, Minnesota on the 7th of October was just terrific. We had 6,200 people in the building. It only seats 4,500, so we had all the overflows full. And Amir Sarfati was there, J.D. Farag, Mark Hitchcock, Michelle Bachman, and of course it was Jan Markell's 40th anniversary in ministry. It was just terrific. And then on the 28th of October, up in Abbotsford, BC, once again, Amir Sarfati was with us, Bill Koenig, Dr. Andy Woods, and myself. The four of us spoke that day and had great music. Barb Marchuk was with us. It was really a terrific conference. There's Amir on the screen right there. And it was really great. We had about 1,000 people. First time we've ever tried it up in that area. It's been a great fall. I'm going to kind of change gears a little bit here, and just do a one-night report, a one-day report. This is evening when we're actually live streaming, so we'll repeat this tomorrow morning. That is Friday morning, the 3rd of November. But in the meantime, what we want to do this evening is a special report that really deals with the current event that is going on in our world, will be going on in our world this weekend, and certainly is going on right now. Something that I know a lot of you are concerned with, that's for sure. Now, we are going to, as it says here, we are going to, and that's the cost of live streaming, folks. Here we go. Back up a little bit. We are certainly going to live in a world that is darker and darker, that's for sure. And something that a lot of us are aware of. And I guess if you tuned in tonight to hear something light and fluffy, you're not going to hear it, because that's really not the tone of our ministry as we deal with spiritual warfare and the occult and the New Age movement, and certainly what is going on in the church as far as emergent church and contemplative and all that kind of thing. But we are living in a world that's looking darker and darker all the time. This is not a doom and gloom message, though, because if you understand what the scripture says and what eschatology is teaching us today or about the days we live in, then you understand that though it may look darker and darker, the church is going to actually get brighter and brighter all the time. So I'm encouraged by that. I understand that to be the case, even though the events around us aren't exactly what we'd want to see. In fact, they're not what we want to see at all. I know that the church's finest hour as far as evangelism and so on could be right before us at the same time. And though it's looking darker and darker, there's a lot of confusion around us as well. The confusion that we see going on, confusion reigns in so many different areas, in theological areas, in the world itself, in business, in finance, in our personal lives, our marriages and families, and of course our children and so on. We see a lot of confusion. We're witnessing what Matthew 24 is really talking about. And there are a lot of different places in Matthew 24 that I could say, hey, this is something that Matthew 24 talks about. But there's a passage in particular that I want to bring up on the screen that I think we're seeing being fulfilled each and every day as we go along. And that passage, of course, is Matthew 24, verse 6. That we're going to hear a lot about wars and rumors of wars. That is talk of wars, or the idea that war may be with us. And Jesus says to us at this point, "See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." I think the kingdom against kingdom passage there could mean many things, but certainly it could mean the kingdom of darkness against the kingdom of truth and life, or it could mean that the kingdom of freedom of speech against anti-freedom of speech. And really, that's part of what we're going to talk about here this evening. But we're hearing about wars and rumors of wars all the time. We hear about it, of course, on the international scale, but now we're hearing about it right here in America as well. As we go on, we see it that the most important thing that we can do is read our Bibles, most importantly. But we've got to trust the sources of news. Wherever we get our news, it's important that we're able to trust it. If you're just listening to the half-hour news broadcast that is on the big three networks, ABC, CBS, NBC here in the United States, if that's all you're hearing, then you're really not hearing the truth. You're hearing it scripted. You're hearing it given to you in such a way that the news stories that are covered are exactly what those networks and the people behind those networks, executives and producers and so on, what they want you to know and what they want you to hear. So you're not hearing the whole news, that's for sure. But we've got to be able to trust where we get our news from. In this day that we live in, especially with the wars and the rumors of wars, even on a local level, we better know. And that brings us to the topic of this evening. What is Antifa and what does this movement want? Now, some of you have seen Antifa on television. Some of you may have even seen Antifa live and in person in different places in our country. But what are they and what do they want? Did you know that you are an alt-right, racist, bigot, white supremacist, homophobe, Islamophobe, hater? You know, that's what you really are if you are, Caucasian, because I mentioned white in there. And I'm in no way a racist, that's for sure. I'm great friends of many different races, so it has nothing to do with that. But did you know that's what you are? You're an alt-right, racist, bigot, homophobe. See, if you're a Christian today, that's the way you are couched. That's the way that you are looked at by the alt-left. And there's a lot to be said about what Antifa is up to and what they want in our culture. You see some of the pictures and you get the idea these folks don't want to be identified, that is for sure. So you wonder what qualifies you to be what they say you are. Well, if you oppose anything that they want, you automatically become exactly what they claim. I'll say that again. If you oppose anything that they want, you automatically become exactly what they are claiming you to be, which could be the things I just listed off there a second ago. It doesn't matter if you're really any of those things or not, just as long as those who say you are emphatic about it and they insist it to be so. Now, I think it's important here that we show a short clip. This is a short video I found on the USA Today website, not exactly a spot I go looking for research very often, but I think it'll explain more what Antifa is, so let's take a listen.
More than 250,000 people have signed a petition calling on the White House to label Antifa as a terrorist organization. It's one group President Donald Trump seemed to say was also to blame for violence in Charlottesville, Virginia.
What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? What about the fact they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs?
Antifa, shorthand for anti-fascist or anti-fascist action, is often a mix of far-left ideologies, communists, socialists, anarchists, and so on, with one unifying goal: to fight back against fascists and neo-Nazis by any means necessary. A common tactic of Antifa is the black bloc. That's when a group of Antifa don all black, including some type of face covering like mask or sunglasses. They then either push back against alt-right demonstrators like we saw in Charlottesville and back in Berkeley, California, or disrupt an event and damage property like on Trump's inauguration day. The petition has gained more than 250,000 signatures in just a few days. It argues that terrorism is the use of violence and intimidation in pursuit of political aims, and blames the group for violence against police officers. Now that the petition has the required number of signatures, the White House has 60 days to respond.
All right, I want us to see another short clip as well. And this is two clips put together from the same demonstration. And again, this is by Antifa. And I think it's another important clip for you to take a look at. Well, I wonder what this means. Right there it is. No white supremacy. No white supremacy. No pedo bashing. These folks are literally taking up the cause of the pedophiles. No pedo bashing. That's what that means. And they're protesting a guy named Mike Chernovic. I think that's how, or Cernovic. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But you get the idea of what these folks are up to. And these are Antifa demonstrators holding up a banner that's endorsing pedophilia. So it's just not about the alt-left ideas in politics. This is about many other things, and I think it's important that you see and understand that. But who is behind this movement? That's the key. Who is it that we see that's really behind this movement? I think it's important we understand. And, you know, I talked about this a little bit last weekend up at the conference in Abbotsford, BC, up in Canada. And as soon as I got to this particular slide, there was a couple of these slides in that presentation, somebody in the audience, in fact, more than one person, yelled out the name of who is behind this, and I think most of you know. That's right. It's George Soros. And who is George Soros? Well, some of you know who he is. But until Donald Trump came along, George Soros and I believe his globalist friends thought they had a free ticket right into the New World Order, what they had been hoping for. He is a Hungarian billionaire alt-left globalist pouring billions of dollars into destabilizing and undermining our country. And the globalist dream of the New World Order was within their grasp until Donald Trump came along. Soros and his globalist elite buddies were seeding and are seeding millions and now billions of dollars into what amounts to an overthrow of any country that is standing in their way. Now, George Soros has a series of foundations, or a set of foundations, called the Open Society Foundations. The Open Society Foundations. And the more you read about this, then the more you really understand how he's doing this. He has poured personally over $32 billion into his Open Society Foundation, supporting and funding nearly every liberal and globalist cause imaginable. You need to understand that Christians, conservatives, constitutionalists, and First and Second Amendment advocates are the targets of Soros and the globalists. Freedom of speech may be the number one target that they are after. Soros understands playing all sides. So he seeds money in places that you really wouldn't expect this to happen. And I'm going to get off my main topic a little bit here because I can't help but get this close to talking about George Soros without talking about how he has tried to affect and has successfully affected those who claim to be evangelicals. Notice I said the word claim. This is Richard Cizik, former Vice President for Governmental Affairs of the National Association of Evangelicals. Cizik served in the NAE for 30 years. He was the NAE's national spokesman and edited a monthly magazine, NAE Washington Insight. And Cizik resigned in December 2008 after voicing support for same-sex unions during a radio broadcast on NPR's Fresh Air. Upon his departure from the NAE, Cizik created the New Evangelical Partnership for the Common Good, and they're really involved in the global warming effort and trying to basically stop the economy. That's what it would do if some of the plans for global warming would go into place. But the New Evangelical Partnership for the Common Good, and he is now a fellow, that is someone who is accepted in leadership in the Open Society Institute. Does that strike a bell? You just heard about it. That is George Soros. That is a Soros organization. About his newfound partners, Cizik says this about them. These wonderful people at the Open Society Institute evaluated me along with a lot of other applicants and decided to endow me with a fellowship for this past year, so I haven't been without means. We have much more in common than we have that divides us. Now, that statement in itself ought to get to us, that they have more in common with the globalist than they do maybe with the rest of us who believe the Bible. See, I thought the National Association of Evangelicals was all about spreading the evangelical Word of God, being evangelist with the Word of God, and encouraging and supporting and undergirding, not undermining, the work of evangelicals. But we find out that over the last 2 or 3 decades, that has not been the case. Now, it goes on here in my slide to say the Open Society Institute is one of the ultra-left billionaires, as George Soros's vehicles, to mold and purchase the influence of phony left-leaning evangelicals like Cizik and Sojourner's Jim Wallace, who is another a beneficiary of this particular foundation. This was meant to infiltrate and disable what the Weekly Standard noted was once the most solidified voting bloc on the American political scene, and that would be the evangelicals. Now, some time ago, I wrote a booklet about this, one of our Take a Stand journals, which is usually a series of articles. In this case, it is one long piece dealing with 7 different things that have taken place that have made me doubt the leadership in the evangelical circles and whether they're really on our side or not. Now, one of the main things is the funding from Soros that I speak about in this, and this booklet is called "Where Are Evangelicals Heading?" and you can find that, by the way, at our bookstore at ericbarger.com. Now, this leads us to this coming Saturday, which is November 4th. And what is supposed to take place on that particular day. Now, we don't know if it's going to take place or not, but what about November 4th? What about November 4th? Is Antifa, which is a Soros-funded organization, are they planning violence? Are they planning violent attacks or even the beginning of what some are calling a civil war? Now, you know, there's a lot of things that can be said online that will never transpire in real life. There are a lot of things that people will say, a lot of movements that can start that will never work out into public life, and we certainly hope this is one of them. But are they planning any kind of violent action? One website says that the objective for this Saturday is to begin a civil war, to kill the police, to kill white people, to kill gun owners, and to kill Trump voters. And they are pledged to do that kind of thing wherever they find any of us. It's probably a lot of bluster, but this is what's going on out there, and a lot of you have probably heard something about this, and that's why I decided this was important to take up this evening. It all began back on September 26th. Now, Antifa was going long before that, but this whole idea of November 4th being the beginning of something, some civil unrest that would end up with an overthrow of the government, and with the getting rid of the Trump administration without using legal means that we have already set up in our Constitution. These folks blocked the 101 highway in Los Angeles on September 26th, and the signs they're holding spell out November 4th, it begins. November 4th, it begins. Now, as far as I can tell, that was where the date came from. Was at that particular juncture when these folks blocked the highway. But it wasn't Antifa who was blocking the highway. You see, they are planning demonstrations, no doubt about it, but Antifa is likely to be just a side beneficiary in the demonstration. The protests are being organized by a group called Refuse Fascism, who wants to prolong the protest movement, and they want Trump's removal, and Antifa may be involved somehow. And really the question I would have is, can anyone really tell if it's Antifa or if it's some other organization, if they're all doing the same thing, dressing the same way, acting the same way, and so on? Can we really tell? They want to stop Trump, and they want to stop his legal election to the office of president in any way they can. Well, I want to take a second here, and I'm going to slip out of my slides, and I want to go to a website that I think is important for us to look at, and hopefully I'll be able to get it up here pretty quick. But this is heavy.com, heavy.com, if you're curious. And so I'm going to read this for you. Heavy.com is listing the different cities that the protests are going to be in, and I think that's important for you to know. Atlanta, Georgia is the first one. Austin, Texas. Boston, Massachusetts. Chicago. Cincinnati. Cleveland, Ohio. Detroit, Michigan. Honolulu, Hawaii. Houston, Texas. Los Angeles, California. Minneapolis. New York City. Omaha. Philadelphia. Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Portland, Oregon. Salem, Oregon. San Francisco, California, and or there's more. Yes, Tucson, Arizona. So those are the cities that we know that this organization is planning protests in for this particular Saturday. So now the next question is, what about the DoD's planned power grid drill that is planned for this Saturday as well? Now, some people believe that this is no coincidence, and there's a lot of people out there that I think they've been looking at too many conspiracy theories and spending too much time searching for those. And maybe it's back to September 23rd, if you remember what we talked about back when that was taking place. But just like back in the summer of 2015 with the Jade Helm military drills that took place across the southern tier of the U.S., there are conspiracy theories running rampant now that the Department of Defense, that drill that's going to take place this weekend, scheduled for this weekend, could very well shut down the U.S. power grid. Just relax, folks. They're not going to shut down the power grid. It's not going to happen. Even though we have a lot of conspiracy theories out there, it's not going to happen. Just like September 23rd was not the rapture, and it wasn't the coming of planet Nibiru, and it wasn't the destruction of the United States or the destruction of the world. It wasn't anything like that. The same thing will be true this weekend. So just relax about September 23rd. This is Fox 40. This is TV station, and I'm trying to remember where this is from. Sacramento, Stockton, and I think it's Modesto, California. Will the Department of Defense EMP drill, because what they're doing is they're trying to see if they're prepared should there be an EMP attack or something else take place in our country. So it says here, will the Department of Defense EMP drill shut down the power grid? And the answer, of course, is no. And here from, this is Memphis, this is News 3 in Memphis. Will the DOD really shut down the power grid? And once again, the answer is no. Now, this particular organization is one that's going to help in this weekend's drill. This is the American Radio Relay League, the American Radio Relay League, or ARRL, and they're going to play a major part in the simulation that will take place this weekend. And also the Military Auxiliary Radio System, or MARS, is going to take place. These are private citizens who are going to help to see if they can actually relay information across the country without the use of cell phones and the normal communications that we have today. All right, I think I've got more on that. No, I guess I don't. I guess that was it right there. But I want you just understand that there's not going to be an overthrow of the U.S. government this weekend. There may be some demonstrations. They could turn into riots. Yes, they could be violent, and sadly, they could be deadly. But this is not the beginning of a civil war. This group would love that. George Soros and his group would love that, as well as Antifa, the people who are out there doing these kind of things. Antifa would love to see this take place, but it's not going to happen. I'm thankful for the police who are out there to protect us and to assure us the ability to be able to walk down our streets in safety, and our wives and to go to the store, and our children to be able to go to school and so on, and for us to be able to travel around our country without having constant fear that we'll be caught in the middle of some sort of really deadly civil unrest. So I'm not worried about this weekend. I'm going to go about my business. I hope you will too. I hope you'll understand that the Department of Defense and what's going to happen with their simulation and the drill they're going to do, this is for our good so that they can be prepared. And really, that's the most important thing. We put our trust in different places. The most important thing we can put our trust in is in the Lord Jesus Christ, but we put our trust in those who are overseeing the ability that we have to be able to communicate and travel and be able to capitalize on the great freedoms that our Constitution has given us and that this country is known for and has been known for 200 plus years now. So I just say relax. We're not going to start, the Civil War won't start this weekend. Trump is not going to be deposed. There's not going to be a power grid shortage or it's not going to go down, in other words. And we can just go about our business. At any rate, I do appreciate you watching this evening. I'm going to close now, and we'll see you again next week. And hopefully I'll be a little more prepared with it when I see you next week. All right. Thanks again for watching.
Did you know that the work of Eric Barger and Take a Stand Ministries is completely funded by your gifts and offerings? We encourage you to take part and support the ministry. Please visit ericbarger.com and click this button to contribute, and please do it today. Every gift is appreciated, both large and small, and we need your help. Thank you for taking a stand with us. Thanks for joining us for Take a Stand TV with Eric Barger. We welcome your comments and questions. Please visit us at ericbarger.com. Be sure to tell a friend, and please join us again for more Take a Stand TV with Eric Barger.